Welcome, Warriors.
Yay!
We are so psyched that you are back with us again this week.
Yes.
We spoke to just a fabulous human being. The best interview. I know we say this all the time. She was unbelievable. Her name is Cara Nissen.
Mm-hmm.
And Abby's going to she's going to hop into her recap in just a moment. But before she does, let me let you all know a little bit about who Cara is. Cara is a certified life coach with Lumia Coaching and is an invisible chronic illness warrior. She has been a PCOS warrior, polycystic ovary syndrome, for 10 years and a lupus warrior for over 2 years. She is mission-driven and dedicated to community building, advocacy, empowerment, and equity. She received her Bachelor's of Arts degree in psychology with a minor in human resources from California State University, Long Beach, and her master's degree in science and counseling with a college student personnel specialization from California Lutheran University. She is currently in the process of her ICF/ACC credentials to become a certified coach. She teaches part-time in the psychology department at Mount St. Mary's University, Los Angeles. Her areas of interest include the psychological effects from chronic conditions, advocacy in public health, women's health issues, long-time COVID effects, self-esteem and self-confidence in women and girls, the effects of bullying on women, and more. Cara also serves as the vice president of Grl Pwr LA, a nonprofit geared towards helping women discover community while fostering personal and professional development. Our community organization provides monthly virtual mentorship opportunities to help women gain the confidence and support they need to reach their full potential. Cara she just had so much amazing things to share with the Warriors. So Abby, hop into a recap for us.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So she just has a beautiful heart. Throughout the entire conversation, you're just going to hear her heart shine through her words, right? I was just in so much awe throughout this. So thank you, Cara, for inspiring me. So Cara, starts off by sharing, how she has lived with anxiety, and one of the most prominent ways it would show up is just, questioning herself and if she was going to say something wrong, and how this type of anxiety would lead her to avoiding a lot. But it wasn't until fall 2020 where she started to notice that there's some things going on with her body. And after advocating for herself enough with the medical field, she received the diagnosis of lupus. She gives all of us a deeper understanding of this invisible illness and what it is like to walk around in society with this illness. And she shares, how she's learned how to accept this and move forward with a more empowering mindset and a mindfulness practice that really supports her throughout this journey. She just has so many amazing mantras and affirmations and everything that really just stick with you throughout. And I don't know, everyone's going to just leave this conversation feeling really inspired. She is just such a heartfelt, beautiful human being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a sense of lightness around her for sure. And how she's been able to empower herself through a somewhat turbulent journey, right? Especially over the last few years. And we know that you all are just going to feel lighter and more empowered yourselves after listening. So, Warriors, without further ado, here's the show. Welcome, Warriors.
Yay!
We are so stoked to be joined today by an awesome new guest. Her name is Cara Nissen. Cara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay.
Thanks for being here. We're really excited to connect. I know you and Abby know each other a little bit, right? In the coaching world?
Yeah, it's been a couple years.
Which it doesn't feel like, but
I know the pandemic just messed everything up.
And Cara knows some of our previous guests, Anthony, Sarah.
Some of our faves.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. I love how many cool people we've had on this show that you have been connected with through the coaching world. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, Cara, we're going to dive right into your story. Tell us a little bit about how anxiety has shown up for you in your life, or how it not has it showed up for you, but how has it showed up, period?
I think for me, it's every day, and it just, I have to really be mindful of that this is anxiety rather than I can't do a certain task because it's overwhelmed or I'm avoiding something. And then even with work and relationships, it's constantly thinking I'm gonna say something wrong or so and so is mad at me. So it's literally every single day And then recently, the last couple of years with the pandemic, diagnosed with a couple chronic illnesses. So I had to really learn the hard way, take a step back from that, because I thought I was doing something wrong when it was my body literally told me you need to like slow down and accept what that was. So for me, it's just it's really every day, and it's a struggle. It really is.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I have chills first of all, because I mean, I hear so much myself in you right now, right? And so I have two very different questions. Can you share a little bit more about the like constantly not wanting to say the wrong thing, right? Like I so related to that hard. And I don't think any guest has really said that, right? Like the overthinking of that. So will you share a little bit of how that shows up in the day to day?
Yes, definitely. So I think for me, that's when I shut down. So for example, even coming on like a podcast or doing what I want to do, the old me would say, no, we're not doing that. Just go and avoid that and not be out of your comfort zone. So the last couple of years, I really had to push myself out of my comfort zone, talk myself into it, and be in the safe spaces where I felt comfortable sharing my story, because I feel like it's so important to share our story. Otherwise, why are we here?
Right. Right. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also just like starting off by finding the safe spaces,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yes.
we can take those steps, and those steps help us in being able to share it more and more. And then my other question is, will you share a little bit more about, being diagnosed with a chronic illness? Because, geez, like, I mean,
Especially over the last couple of years of all times. Not that there's
yeah,
ever a good time to be
no,
diagnosed with chronic illness, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm
right.
happy to share that, and thank you so much for asking. So it was December of 2020. Actually, I'll back up before that. It was fall 2020. I'm in Los Angeles. So the world had gone a little bit crazy,
Mhm.
and I was just feeling super isolated. A lot of things were going on. My body felt weird, odd, what's going on? It's COVID. So for me, I was having skin rashes, and I don't know what was going on. So instead of listening to some doctors who are like, "Oh no, it's you're just sunburnt, it's fine," I was like, "No, no, don't dismiss me." So I went to dermatologist, and she ran a bunch of autoimmune panels. Never had them before in my life. I was 30 at this point. Never. She was like, "You never had autoimmune panels?" No, never. So long story short, those came back with certain positive markers for lupus. And I was like, that's not possible. There's no one in my family who has lupus. No. So I was referred to different doctors. And finally, in December 2020, saw the specialist, and he confirmed that I have lupus. And it was just, my whole world kind of stopped. Called my
Yes.
mom, and she was like, are you sure? Like, that's not possible. I was like, Mom, the doctor's telling me this. Don't dismiss me. So then I'm
Yeah.
like, do I have this? So again, questioning myself. And then also when I was doing my research, people with lupus, any chronic illness, have a higher chance of anxiety. So I'm just like, oh, okay, great. How are we going to deal with this? So I really had to learn on my own, because there was no really support, because it was, oh, we have the pandemic, you can't do this, you can't do that. It
Oh
was
my
just very,
gosh.
very isolating
Yeah.
for that time. It was terrible.
No, it is
Yeah.
awful. I mean,
Yeah.
especially in our society, having any type of illness, it's like, well, get dressed and go to work. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how you're
Yeah.
feeling,
Yeah.
right? You better
Yeah.
show up. And so, I just can't I can and can't imagine at the same time what it's like when it's still like in the peak of the pandemic, and
Mhm.
and then your body is giving you messages that something is wrong, right? Something's
Yeah.
off. And I just want to I don't know, acknowledge or praise or something that you didn't listen to the first doctor,
Mhm.
right? Because I think
Mhm.
sometimes in the medical field we go places and the doctors say something and we're like, deep down we know that that's not it. But
Yeah.
it takes a lot of effort, extra effort during a pandemic, right? But a lot of effort to find the right people that'll really listen to you and do the testing to help you figure out what's going on.
Yeah. And that's why didn't give up. And then also during this time I was like living alone. It was just a mess. And then I got really, really sick at the end of December. And I went to get a COVID test, and back those days in LA, I had to wait in line for 2.5, 3 hours. I literally thought I was gonna like pass out. And they told me, oh no, it was negative, and I still felt like crap. So I got another test on my birthday in January of that year, and I had COVID for the first time.
Oh, gosh.
So again, I didn't listen to the doctor because she was like, oh no, you don't have COVID. I was like, I feel like I feel like this is COVID, whatever that
Right.
feels like. I just felt awful. So I ended up getting it in January 2021.
Oh, wow.
So it's just been, again, like going back to what I said, like, what did I do wrong? I don't want to say anything because they're going to say like you're being dramatic or something. But I
Right.
felt terrible.
We've talked extensively about
Yes.
with some of our guests and just with each other in a couple of different episodes about that exact thing,
Especially
right?
for
It's just not being
women.
considered crazy for, and I just want to highlight also and offer just how incredibly powerful it was to listen just now. And I imagine for yourself in the moment. I know some of that maybe is just you speaking about something that happened and it's in the rear view. But the fact that you said twice in just these few minutes we've been chatting together, don't dismiss me.
Mhm.
And each time you said it, there was like a pause before you said it, and then a pause after. And it's just like, yes,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is the sentence. This is the
Yes.
statement, right? This is the way that we need to advocate for ourselves, for our bodies, to stand up to those people in white coats, whatever, that are proclaimed to know it all the time, and don't get second opinions, or you don't have COVID, you don't have something wrong with you physically. That's a sunburn. I'm just like sitting
Ugh.
here, like, are you serious right now? And just the fact that it's like standing up to power and saying, don't dismiss me,
Yes.
right? And just
Yes.
how powerful it's powerful for me to hear. And I would hope that and our warriors, I know for sure, but I would hope that it would be powerful for your mom and these doctors to hear too, right? Like, oh, wait a second, I need to get out of my head for a second and remember that there's a human being in front of me, maybe one that I love, right? And they're sharing something that they're going through. And it's just like a greater reminder to just like, when someone's standing in front of you telling you their truth, listen to them.
Yes.
Don't dismiss them. Like
Yeah.
it should just be that simple, but sometimes it's not, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
easier said than done. It's like, okay, well, here we are. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Can you just I would love to, I mean, and please feel free to say like, hey, that's not my place, or I don't have the space for that. But like I would love to know just even the bare bones about what kinds of things you experience as someone with lupus. Like what
Yeah.
I don't know much about
Yeah.
the symptoms or anything. So like what are you coping with on the daily?
Yes. Thank you for asking that too. Because so it's autoimmune, and people are like, what does that mean? So basically my body is attacking itself, which again is crazy, but that's what it is. So with lupus, common signs are, again, like they call it the butterfly rash, but you could really just have any sort of skin issue. And as I learned this through this process, is that the skin can tell us a lot about our well-being, because that's the largest organ in the body. So I didn't know that because I
Wow.
was taught that in school. Learn by trial and error and by life. And so that's one of them. Fatigue is really, really common. Joint pain, like just your head to toe joint, and just really not being able to, not, I don't want to say function, but also they don't talk about this a lot. Of the, if you were to Google like lupus, it wouldn't talk about this, but I really want to bring this up for the show. Anxiety, depression, things like that are really, really common with people with lupus, because you're kind of going through these things, and a lot of the times they call it like an invisible condition,
Yeah.
because people will say, oh, you don't look sick, you're working, you're walking, you're fine.
Yeah.
I have it more moderately right now, and it's under control. But what could happen, you may have heard about Selena Gomez, is where the organs can actually shut down. So that's what we're trying to do now with my doctor. We're trying to not have that happen, is to take certain medicines so my organs eventually don't. But right now, thank goodness, I'm on a good path. So on a bad day, I just would be more in pain, really, really fatigued. I tend to get sick more. So that's been on the extreme where you could have organ involvement, you need to get a transplant and things like that.
Wow.
I mean, like, I'm like close to tears because like it's so I don't know what word I want, but just to know that like so many like people walk around with this, right? Like, you know, like people walk around with anxiety, people walk around with all these things, but then like there's like the chronic pain, but it's invisible because no one else can see it. You're not like hunched over, you know, going to work.
Yeah.
And then the fear of like, okay, I need to take care of my body and do the things the doctors do because of the fear of what could happen to your organs. Like it's a lot. That's a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah. I'm appreciative of the education a little bit about it. And I'm sure that our warriors appreciate it too. So thank you so much for taking a couple of minutes to just like touch on that part of your experience, because as Abby said, it is just so valuable for us to acknowledge those invisible things that we know everyone's walking around with, even if it's seems mundane, right? Or it's like, I know I'll speak for me when I'm like, sometimes I'll be dealing with something and I'm just like, Margot, shut up. You should just be grateful for X, Y, and Z. Like I'm telling my mind, like, stop complaining about that pain that you have in your knee or like the fact that it makes us, you know, and some of that's just like, oh, I'm 40 now. And so like certain noises or things that happen in my body like trigger me a little bit differently than they used to, just in terms of like how I feel about those things. I'm like, should I be worried about this? Should I look deeper into it? But I just really value you highlighting just like, or reminding us that we all can be walking around with invisible hurts and struggles and pains, whether it be from a chronic illness like you're dealing with on the daily, or literally anything else. And so it's just a good reminder, I think, for us to just like, okay, everyone's walking around with something that we may or may not be able to see out on the outside. But that doesn't mean that they're not coping with something. Just keep that in the back of your mind.
And the effort it takes, right? Like I was having a thyroid thing for a bit, and luckily right now I'm okay. But I was like, oh, do I have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune and everything? And the like 2 weeks where it was really intense, like I was afraid to go for a walk because I was like, what if I faint? You know, like, you know, so like the constant like thinking about how do I feel, right? And so I just like, I just have so much compassion and empathy for anyone walking around with this, because of our society does not make it easy, right? It doesn't make it easy to deal with your health because you still have to like live in this capitalistic society that needs you to make money and stuff. Like,
Go out and perform.
Yes.
Oh, all right. Well, let's move on. Talk to us more about how anxiety kind of shows up physically in you. Like, and maybe, you know, you can touch on how if there's blurred lines between things that you're dealing with in the body or in the behaviors or in your thoughts. And can you even tell the difference between like, hey, is this anxiety or is this like the, you know, just dealing with a symptom of one of this illness, right? But like, how does it show up in you physically?
Yeah, that's great. I think for me, it's like the heart racing, things like that, like maybe like common for others, but also just the fact that maybe I literally don't want to leave the house or something like that. And again, I'm like, okay, is it in my head or is it like, how do I actually feel about this? So that's kind of how it shows up. I also do, again, it's the lines kind of are a little confusing because I do get certain neck pains if I'm sitting like a certain way, but then it's like, what is it from? So I have to kind of just take it as whole and try to triage as much as possible with that. But it's really hard to know where is it coming from. But I feel like it just kind of blows up sometimes when I have like, they said if you have like with lupus having like a flare, so it could like blow up for me with the anxiety as well.
Wow. Do they get like give you coping strategy? Because I feel like if I had lupus, right, and I have anxiety, everything I would overanalyze and drive myself nuts. Right. And so, yeah. Okay. So, do they give you like coping strat? Like, does anyone say like, okay, this is how you navigate this so you don't drive yourself nuts? Like,
not really, you know, with our medical model, I would say they prescribe and that's see you later. But I have a really great doctor who's an advocate. And also I found the lupus, they have a lot of support groups that, so I think that I got involved with that. And so I think they don't really tell you how to navigate it. They're just very, the people who are there, they're we call ourselves warriors as well, like lupus warriors. That's why I was like, oh, anxiety warriors. But they, you know, they just say like, show up as you are. And if you're not feeling well, like we're here together. There's not really, they say, eat healthy, exercise, do mindfulness, anything you would possibly hear. There's not a treatment, so to speak. So you really have to figure it out on your own and then just talk to other people. And that's why I've been so much into the world of, I guess, the warrior world, because I found support that way versus the doctor. I went to the doctor the day and she was just like, well, you have this and just deal with it basically. And I was like, no, that's not what I'm going to do.
right.
Life is too short just to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love that you're saying the support group part, right? Like, because like you just took me back to a book that I read like years ago, and in it and it was like science based and it had research in it, like it was like, you know, and it shared about how women that were diagnosed with breast cancer, the ones that went to the support groups, had like a higher rate of survival.
Wow.
Right. And I mean, I can dig this up and we can put it in our, you know, show notes so that no one thinks I'm like, right. But like, and they were saying like how important support groups are for the individual when they're experiencing something, to be with other people, to like make them feel less alone and to really normalize the experience and help each other out, because everyone learns different things, you know, that if you do it all by yourself, it's much harder to. So I love that there's a lupus warrior group, and you know, you all are warriors. Like I don't even have to meet you all to know, like wow. Yeah.
Do you find like looking at your physical symptoms as I think you put it as like a whole, right? Like as like from a whole perspective, to be supportive to you versus trying to like Abby said, like micromanage what each physical thing is, right? So like is looking at it as like a broader picture of just like, hey, I'm experiencing some neck pain. Is there like some compartmentalizing going on, like where you're just like, I'm trying not to think about it as like, is this a lupus symptom, or am I experiencing anxiety, or maybe I just slept funny last night? Like, is looking at your physical body from that whole perspective supportive?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say yes, because before I wasn't doing that and I was just like, oh, it's this, or like, am I depressed or anxious or what is it? So now I'm just like, okay, I have neck pain. It's neck pain and that's what it is. And what can I do to help myself feel better in the moment? So otherwise I would drive myself insane. I don't have time to do that anymore. And then I won't feel well. So it's not worth it to me. So I really just have to see it for what it is, but also acknowledge it and give myself compassion, because it's like, okay, I have my neck hurts, or I didn't sleep well, or maybe I need to take a nap, or whatever it is. But I think the whole perspective has really served me.
Oh,
so good.
So good.
So good. Yeah.
I mean, it's so true.
Yeah.
It's like you have pain, not you, right? I'll talk about
In
me.
general.
And in general, yeah. And all of a sudden it's like, oh God, I'm going to be in pain the rest of today. Oh, this could be cancer. Like now I should make, you know, and the spiraling around the stories of something, as opposed to just, I have neck pain. This is uncomfortable, you know, and I will take a nap, and I will rub my neck, and I will, right? It's just like that simple. I mean, it's mindfulness. That's it right there. It's just like, that's what this is. It's neck pain without the storytelling around all the possibilities. Like, oh my gosh, so powerful.
So good. All right. So talk to us more about like, so we're kind of touching on the early parts of like strategies here, right? So like dive a little bit deeper for us. How do you kind of cope with your day-to-day anxiety? You can speak to like more generally, or as like little things come up that maybe are common triggers. Like what are the tools in your tool chest basically that like are your go-tos for support?
Yes, I'd have to say first and foremost, sleep. I've been really trying to. I used to sleep terrible, but now I'm trying to get back onto like a sleep schedule, so to speak, like get rid of the phones, reading, and also doing meditation, whether it's like in the morning, if it's like 5 minutes, or if I'm having like, I get an email that triggers me or something triggers me, I literally will pull up like the app and do it. Otherwise, I'm just in my head for an hour and I'm like, what just happened? Or I also set a timer as well. If I'm upset about something did trigger me, I'll put a timer. Okay, you have 10 minutes and then you need to like try to let it go. Because I had to train myself to do that. It's really hard. I'm still practicing that. And also now living in Los Angeles, we've had some weird weather. The sun's finally out, so I didn't make an appearance for summer. So just really trying to get like some sun, go on the patio, of like a little patio, or just a quick walk like around like the block really, really helps. Other than just like I could stay in the house and just like, oh, I'm so upset or this triggered me, but just really getting out of my head is really helpful. Or just putting on some good music and let it out for like a song or two and just like dance it out. Doing that and then just talking to somebody if they want to listen to me. If not, I write it down and come back to it later. So those are kind of what I've really been doing like day to day.
I mean, you're just speaking our language over here, Cara. Like literally, Abby and I could have written that list in like 8 seconds. Like, those are those are so many of our go-tos, right?
Like,
I know
just
I can speak
such
for both
good
of us.
tools. Like,
yeah. And you
yeah.
wouldn't think about it. It's like for me before it was so hard to get out of my head, but I'm like, okay, just do this, go outside, get yourself 5 minutes of be upset and then like let it go.
I love the timer. I love the timer. I'm like, I wrote down timer for overthinking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that. That's an
and
interesting
even
one.
like trying to complete a task, and that's off topic, but I even like, okay, I have 10 minutes, I'm gonna do this. And just to help me not think, because I'll think about, oh, I have to do this. And okay, you're doing this right now, and that's it. One thing.
Yeah, there's no such thing as multitasking, right?
Right.
I mean, like we think that there is, but we're really, you know, we're either going to do something really great and we're going to be focused on that one thing, or we're going to try to do 8 things and not everything's going to turn out great.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
It's so good. So I love that you're like, it's off topic. It's really not, right? Because like, or at least it isn't for me. I'll speak for me. I feel like they're on topic for sure. Amazing. And who doesn't want more sleep and getting outside and dropping into a great song for a couple of minutes? Like these are just wonderful universal things that, and you also use the word practice, and we're big proponents of that here, right? It's just like, can we practice some of these things and try not to take it super serious, right? Like I know that our health and our well-being and our mental health, all of this stuff is serious to some extent, right? But like us looking at it as serious maybe isn't going to be helpful or supportive all the time. And so can we approach it with a sense of like curiosity and lightheartedness and like, hey, this is just an exploration or practice I'm going to try out. And so it kind of takes sort of like the serious edge away from something you're trying or from even the symptom that you're experiencing. So I think those tools are amazing. Okay. How would you describe your relationship to anxiety these days? Maybe if you could think of like a word or a sentence or a phrase, like how would you, categorize it?
I would say, this would a couple years ago, I wouldn't be like, you're crazy saying this, but I think it actually serves me well because with that being said, it kind of keeps me like focused and like on what's really important rather than, oh, it's anxiety. Like to have a fear of anxiety, it sounds kind of crazy, but before I would try to avoid it, but now it's more like I'm going to embrace it. And this is what it is, and this is a part of me. So I kind of just go with it now. And again, like going back to those tools, how to cope with it has been really helpful for me.
I mean, my heart is just
so good. Yeah. Lots of sparkle and shine and twinkles over here.
I mean, that's it. It's like that switch, right? From trying to avoid it, from, trying to push it away, not doing things so it won't get agitated, to no, actually I can embrace this. And this is something that is part of me. And we're working on it. Like we're figuring it out together. Like it's huge. I mean, that is so huge, that kind of shift. Like, and it's like an invisible shift, right? Like no one really knows except for on the inside, like how it feels when it's like, okay, wait, no, I'm not going to continue to avoid this part of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge thing. I was like said a couple years ago, like I would just be like so in my head and I couldn't do anything, but I had to go through therapy and coaching, different things like that. And the pandemic taught me that you have to kind of get out of your body and your mind to like be able to kind of like function day to day. Again, you're gonna have bad days, of course, but
Yeah.
that's just overall, that's not the goal to have. You would have more good days than bad days.
Yeah.
So just try to practice that too.
I love that. I love that. You speak so eloquently, Cara. And I
Yeah.
just love
Oh, thank you.
how often you say things about like life's too short or it's taught you what's important. Like these are the messages that we want to keep right at the forefront of our mind. Always. It's just like, how can we find joy and resilience and, you know, presence? It's by embracing and trying not to avoid, right? Even those dark days, even those bad moments, like, hey, that's life. It's okay. And you're just going to keep moving through. So it's
Mhm.
so valuable. Thank you. All right. You could go back in time and speak to a younger version of yourself. What kind of advice would you offer a young Cara?
I would say it's gonna be okay and to be yourself. Because I
Hmm.
think I shared this too. I shared, I was bullied as a younger child. And so I was trying to be somebody else and I thought that something was wrong with me. So I would go back and tell the younger me, like, it's okay. And like, it really literally is okay.
So
Right.
good.
Right. It's not a dismissive. It's okay. It's like, no, it's really like feel it in your bones. Okay.
Yes. Yes. You have to feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. It's going to be, or it's okay, not it's going to be okay. It's okay.
It's
And be
okay.
yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Simple language, things we could all start trying to embrace more, even in
Yes.
our
Like a
adulthoods, right?
mantra. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. Exactly. Thanks for the
Margot,
post-its
you're
on the
like,
mirror.
yes. You're like, yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah. The
mean,
moment she said mantra, you're like,
yeah, I was like,
It's like,
affirmations saved my life. Yes, they do. They continue to. Amazing. All right. So we are the Anxiety Warriors podcast. And we have we put a lot of thought behind creating the name of this show and what it means to us. And so we love to ask all of our guests what this phrase means to them. So how would you define anxiety warrior? What does being an anxiety warrior mean to you?
I think there's a couple things. So the first thing, I think the most important thing that stands out to me is there's a community of us. You're not operating by yourself on an island. There's other people around and you can learn from each other and have that support. I think that's the first thing. And the other thing is just being resilient. And if you're having a bad day, okay, like let it pass and showing up tomorrow. So it's not, I feel like you're not giving up on yourself in a way. And a lot of people, they have this anxiety or they don't want to, for example, go out of the house or social anxiety. So I feel like, okay, you can embrace that, but really trying to show up for yourself and you're resilient. I feel like that's resiliency is huge.
Yeah.
So good.
I love that. I mean, I loved all of it. That's so good. It stuck out the not giving up on yourself because I think sometimes when anxiety is really just like running amok, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to not just like give up. And by giving up, you're giving up on yourself as opposed to like reminding, like, no, I got this. I'm resilient. I am a warrior. Right. So
Yes. And I
And that
love
you're
like
not
just
alone.
yeah, and the warrior thing is just such a strong for me, like just learning through my journey.
yeah.
It's just like this very strong like term, and I always say, okay, I'm a warrior, whatever, anxiety or whatever it may be. And I think that like the show is just amazing to hear everyone's stories and hear your stories about that too. So just
Yeah.
want to thank you for that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Worry's like when you hear warrior, like you're like, well, for me, it's like more like, oh, I can embody something like that.
Yes.
Right. Like when I think of
Yes.
a warrior, like I think, and
Strength.
so it's like, it just kind of changes the shape of the body, which then changes kind of the attitude around the experience.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's a reminder that we're pretty freaking strong.
Yes.
We've seen a thing or two. We've been through a thing or two, and we're still here, and we're there with our chests out, right? With our, as Abby's, hands on our hips, right? And just like,
Yep.
I'm here, baby, and you're not gonna knock me down. You're not taking me. Nuh-uh. Amazing. All right. Well, we have nailed that part of the interview, but now it's time to play a little bit.
Yay.
Yay. Oh, goody. Yay. Oh gosh, that makes my heart sore. Oh, good. So, Cara, are you ready for round?
Yes, I am.
Lightning. Okay. I added the word lightning at the end of lightning round once, like months ago. And
it was
every
so
time
good.
Abby was like, you have to say lightning at the very end. And
She used
so
to do this
laughed.
hand
my
thing
goodness.
too. She would be like, lightning.
Sometimes it's out and sometimes it's down. So this is an audio medium. We have to remember that people
Yes.
can't see us acting silly over here. Sometimes it's hands going down. Sometimes it's hands going out. Okay. So Cara, this is just going to be a handful of fun, get to know you type questions. Abby and I will go back and forth and we'll get to know you a little bit better because anxiety is heavy. Illness is heavy. Mental health topics are heavy, but we can still have fun and play.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Okay. So, Abby, you want to go first?
Oh, okay. I figured I went first last.
Oh,
guess.
you did. Oh, I didn't
did.
remember that. I can go first if you want.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, I'm going to go first. So, Cara, what is one of, or maybe your most prized possessions?
That's a good one. Prized possessions. Let me think. So I'm looking around. Oh, I'm looking around. I'm in my room. I think from what I can see right here, it's my grandmother. She passed away 4 years ago. So it's one of her necklaces that she gave me. And it has a heart with like the sapphire in it. So whenever I like wear that necklace, I think of her and like embrace her because she was very strong-willed and just like a strong person and kind of like, you keep going, life is tough, like get back up. So I think that is like, you can't buy that because that was hers and I got it after she passed on.
That's amazing.
Beautiful. Yeah.
God,
I feel like we should end lightning round right there. Right?
Oh, sorry.
It's so good.
It's always such a like a mixed bag. This is how it goes, you know, Abby.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Okay. All right. So my question is, if you had a superpower, right? And it could be really anything, reading minds, controlling minds, flying, teleporting, breathing underwater, like, I mean, I can keep going, whatever. What is the being invisible? What is the turning into animals? See, I'm going to keep going. What is the what is the superpower that you would like to have?
I think like you said, Abby, just now, like turning into an animal. I feel like I was looking at my sister's cat the other day and like I would love the life of a cat. Like get up, take a nap, go lay in the sun, take a nap, eat some food and play.
Take a
just
nap.
Like hang out, take another nap, and just play. I think that's the thing. It's just like being more playful and like in that energy of how like animals are.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You could be so many animals,
Yes.
like
right?
so many different playful ones. Yeah.
And cats have good boundaries and they're accepted.
That's true.
So that would make it easier because not all humans want to accept boundaries.
That's
but
true.
somehow
Boundaries
humans are more okay with accepting the cat's boundaries. I don't know what that's about. We should all be more like cat owners and accept the boundaries. That's a good question. All right. What was your first concert?
Oh my gosh. So it was actually embarrassing. So it was Aaron Carter in the 18s. Yeah. So that was yes, there you go.
Aaron Carter. Wow. Do you want to sing us a little number or no? Okay.
Because I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
Too many years ago.
I don't know Aaron Carter's music, but
Me
it's
either.
okay. Like one of my first concerts was, and I love it, was In Sync with Britney opening.
Oh, but that's
like,
cool.
Aaron
Carter
was
wasn't
cool.
your first. That wasn't your first concert, was it, Abby?
It might have been one of my. Oh no, it wasn't. One of my first was Destiny's Child with Next and with Boyz II Men. That was in like 7th or 8th grade.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the girls on Destiny's Child fell on my friend because we were backstage.
Wow.
And
you got back. Wow.
What a core memory.
Yeah.
We'll have to dive into this after the show because I have thoughts.
It was when there was 4, not 3.
Right.
Yeah.
The one who I don't remember her name, right? Or nobody remembers her name. Maybe not nobody, excuse me. Many people don't remember her name, I assume. I don't know. Do you remember
I
her
don't.
name?
Nope.
No. Abby's
No.
shaking her head no, everyone.
I think they got rid of 2 and then replaced the 2 with 1.
Yes, I think that's right. Yes. Or 2 left. I wouldn't even say they got rid of them. I'm pretty sure 2 just like got out
they
of
might have
there
just
because of
left.
some drama. Some drama. But okay, moving on. Moving on.
Okay.
Moving on.
All right. No, I think it's me now.
Oh, it's your turn. Sorry.
Yeah. So you live in LA, right? And
Outside.
so, right, this is like Hollywood celebrity area, right?
Sort of. Yeah, it is. Yes.
So, what is something, I don't know, like for all of us that don't live in LA, like what is something fun if you're going to visit LA, right? And you like movies, you like TV shows, but you don't want to do the Star Walk. Like, what is something fun in LA that you would recommend for tourists?
For tourists, it depends on what you like, but I would definitely say like we have nature here. For me personally, I love the beach and like we have the mountains. A really good hike followed by like a nice lunch or like just looking at honestly like the views. There's a couple like nice spots that you can go look at the views like sunset or sunrise. I think that's a little bit unique rather than we're gonna go to Hollywood Boulevard and you've got these people running around.
Yeah.
And then also seeing maybe like nice concert at the Hollywood Bowl because you have like the outside ambiance out there.
Nice
So
yeah.
off the record, if
Cool.
anybody needs any suggestions, let me know.
Yes.
Things to do like not on Google.
There you go. Just go to Cara instead.
Yes.
Google.
Oh, I
Yes.
love it. Do you have a recommendation for a beach? Because there's a bunch of beaches, right? Like, is there any?
Yeah,
like-
I would say so. Not like any, probably maybe have heard of like Santa Monica up here. It's really busy there. Even down south, farther down is like we call it South Bay. So Redondo Beach, like those beaches are a little bit chill and you can actually walk like on the boardwalk. So I go there more often. It's a little bit farther drive, but it's definitely worth it.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Good racks. I like it. All right. My last question. You have your own late night talk show. Who is your first guest and why?
That's a good one. My own late night talk show. Let's see. I thought about this because I eventually want to have a podcast. That's like kind of in the works. So I actually met somebody through one of the communities that I met. She actually lives in Italy and we're really good friends. I would want to fly her out here and have her be on this show because I talked to her about having a podcast together, but I think it'd be fun for us to be in person and just bringing that person on because she means a lot to me. So I think I would definitely bring her on the show.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a great question.
That is such a that's such a non-shallow, heartfelt answer.
Exactly.
Like I'm gonna call like a celebrity, like right.
That's exactly where my mind went. But I love that you surprised the heck out of me just now. That was crazy. I love that. I'm sure she's gonna be thrilled to hear that.
Yes.
She'll be thrilled to hear that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, I feel like I gotta end on a heartfelt note, So
Yeah.
So what is a piece of advice that's always stuck with you that someone said at some point in your life that's always stayed with you?
That's a good one. I think, it goes back to I was told this by my grandmother, and just being yourself. And she was really good at not caring what other people said about her. Like, I don't care. But I'm still learning that, like, if someone's talking about me, I'm like, oh, like, what did I do? Like, what did I do wrong rather than what did they maybe do wrong? So I really just, what she told me is, you know what, Cara, just ignore everybody and do what you want to do. That's it.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Do what
And be
you want to
yourself.
do.
Yeah.
Be yourself. These are the common themes, right? Just
Yeah.
do what you want to do. Like you had said earlier, life's too short to just deal with it, right? Or to just take it as it comes, or yeah. And that's not to say like we can't roll with punches, right? Or we can't go with the flow, but that doesn't mean that we give up all control over the things we can do with our lives.
Right.
Yeah. So awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you
for chatting with us. This has just been such a pleasure. And I feel like I've learned so much, and I loved hearing your story. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Before we have you tell our listeners how they can find you and connect with you, we like to ask all of our guests to share a win of the week, something big or small. It doesn't have to have happened this week, but just something recently that felt like a win.
Yeah. So for me, I've been talking about, mind, body, this, that, the other thing. I've been trying to get back into exercise because I've neglected that. And one thing that I've been talking about is doing yoga. So I can do it at home, that's fine. But something about being in a yoga studio is different. So a week ago, like Thursday last week, I joined a yoga studio and I've been going like every day almost. And it was huge for me. I know it sounds like not a big deal, but it's huge for me because I'm sleeping better and I'm like, okay, I have my yoga, like chill out. And then that hour of time, I can really be present. And I'm struggling with the poses and things like that, getting back into it, but it's been really, really good for me. So I'm really proud of myself for doing that.
Yes. Huge win. That is huge. Like, yeah.
Don't dismiss you.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't dismiss you.
You're right.
That's a big win.
I said that.
Really,
yeah, it is. It's huge.
Yeah.
And it's,
awesome.
It's good. I mean, it's great. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
right.
good.
Exactly. Like it is great and amazing.
You're like, oh yeah, this is so great. Right?
No, that
I
I'm
feel
telling you.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Abby and I teach yoga to kids. Like, it's so much of our passion and our livelihoods and our careers. But I'll tell you, and I know I can speak for both of us, our own practice, our own personal practice, at least when it comes to mat-based practice, right? Is up and down. It ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
You get in moods or it's like, I'm gonna take a break, or I don't have time, or I taught yoga all day and I'm not gonna go practice now, but when you do, you're like, oh my God, yeah, I need to be doing this every day.
Yeah.
10 minutes, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
amazing.
to getting to the studio and, showing up, like that
Yes.
commitment, it's huge.
Yeah, showing up and just starting, I think too, like just starting is a huge thing.
Yeah, right. Once you start, and you're like, oh, okay, the vibe here is cool. Like we can do this more, then it's like showing back up every single time. Yep.
Yeah, I love it.
So good. All right. So Cara, tell everyone how they can connect with you.
Yes. So right now I'm on Instagram. So it's at Bloom, BLOOM with Cara, my name, CARA. So right now I'm in coaching sessions, a couple of things are in the work. So that's where you can kind of message me. I have a call link on there as well. So that's kind of the main way. Website's coming later on, I think, but the main thing is my Instagram, and I'm on there all the time, sometimes, trying to take a break from it, but that's where you can find me.
Yes. Perfect. We feel that. All right.
Yes.
So everyone go check out Cara's Instagram. She's had Bloom with Cara. Maybe book yourself a call, right? Get some coaching. Everyone needs it.
You hear her heart. You hear her heart.
Yes.
Who doesn't want a heartfelt coach,
Yes.
For real.
Thank you.
Thanks so much again for sharing your story with us, Cara. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Woo! Warriors. What an episode.
Yeah.
Like the best interview. So great to meet Cara. And I'd only heard good things from you, obviously, but like all of them were true. She's just delightful and a lovely presence and had such an interesting story.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel just really honored that she came on our podcast and shared her story with us. And she's just so super lovely. And like, we met through coaching. And, in the coaching groups, there's like loads of people in the cohort, and there's only a few that I invite on the podcast. So you have to know they're pretty special.
For real, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, to Sarah and Anthony, and now you, Cara, like y'all are something special. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been here. And it was so great. I mean, all of them, but yes, I think I really appreciated so much about the way Cara spoke about her anxiety, and I found it particularly interesting learning about her relationship to the chronic illness that she has, right, to lupus, and how she has learned to kind of navigate the symptoms she experiences of anxiety and of lupus, and sort of stop looking at them as like individual things, but try practicing looking at them from like a backed up perspective, right? Like from like a big picture, whole body perspective. And I just found that to be really useful, even for myself, who is somebody that doesn't have a chronic illness, right? Or for anyone, I think it's just useful to know, like, hey, I don't maybe need to dissect everything that I'm feeling and wonder from where it's coming from. Like, and yes, trying to identify triggers can be helpful, but at the same time, it can be overwhelming, especially if you do struggle with a chronic illness. And so practicing looking at it as just like, hey, this is neck pain. Hey, I'm kind of tired, right? And just like then trying to figure out, okay, well, what are the action steps towards having a less stiff neck? What are the action
Right.
steps towards being less tired? Like, and just looking at it from a really mindful perspective. I just really loved that part of her story that's certainly unique to her, but I feel like can also be translated for the rest of us.
Right. Right. I mean, that
Yeah.
was actually like one of my takeaways too. Right? Is just like it's the simplicity, but it's also so incredibly powerful to notice something, give it the label for what it is without a storyline to it. Because the
Mhm.
storyline is the part where like our brain wants to make sense of the experience. But
Yeah.
in that, it spirals out to like everything that could be possibly wrong or that we're overreacting about, right?
Yeah.
And so when she just said like labeling it as neck pain, right? For me, I just felt like an inner sense of calm because,
Mm.
right? Like we practice mindfulness and like me and you, right? And we do all these things. And then like I forget like the simplicity of it's knee pain, not, oh my God, my knee's hurting again. Do I need to get this looked at? Am I going to have knee problems in 10 years if I ignore it or not? Right? Like, and the spiraling and spiraling and spiral. Should I walk? Should I not walk? Should I exercise? Right? As
Yep.
opposed to like, there's knee pain.
Right. I'm
And
laughing
I
because
can,
it should be
yeah,
so easy.
that's the thing. And that's why, like, for me, it was such a huge takeaway because it's like, it doesn't matter how often I practice mindfulness. I still forget to do things like not spiral and make a story when something is happening with my body.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like that Sharon Salzberg quote. I'm going to butcher it, but it's something like mindfulness is really easy. You just have to remember to do it or something like
Yes.
that. It's just like
Yes.
the perfect. Yeah. That's what I thought of when you were just saying all of that. So,
Yeah.
totally.
Right. No, exactly. And it's right. It's like you have to remember to apply it to the things like when your body is having a sensation, right?
Yep.
Label that sensation, pause before the story starts, right?
Mhm.
And once
Mhm.
you have that label, then you can take care of it without making the story like create so much more suffering.
Totally.
Yeah.
Um, Before I get into my final takeaway or my final major takeaway, like always, I feel like I could say a million things
Oh
for
my
a
God.
million
Yeah.
hours because
Mm-hmm.
it was so powerful. But I just want to quickly touch on that. I loved the part, and I'm sad that we like didn't really get into it, where she was just like, "Is someone mad at me?" That was like way back in the beginning of the
Yes.
episode, and I know
Yeah.
that like we talked a little bit about like the overthinking, and that kind of goes with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wish that we could have spent even just a couple more minutes about that
Mm-hmm.
question that at least enters into my mind all the
Mm-hmm.
time,
Yeah.
which is just like, is that person mad at me?
Yeah.
That person that I just got a weird look or a weird vibe. They hate me. I'm the
Yep.
worst, and I'm to blame. And yeah, so I wish we would have spent more time on that. But I appreciated even just the dropping of the seed in
The
the bucket of just
acknowledgement.
the
Right.
acknowledgement that like somebody else in the world has
Yes.
that thought. I know
Oh,
many of us do, but
right.
yeah.
Yep.
And so I think, but my separate from that, my final big takeaway is just all the statements of power that Cara kind of dribbled in throughout
Mm-hmm.
our interview, right? Just like the way she advocates for herself. And it seems like some of it came from her relationship with her grandmother, that came up a couple of times, and also just in general, it's just like, don't dismiss me. Anxiety serves me well, learning to embrace, and
Yeah.
life's too short to just quote unquote deal with it. And like,
Right.
these are just such powerful statements that I feel like can be like mindfulness, right? Like what we were saying, easy to forget if we don't
Mm-hmm.
actively practice repeating them, offering them to ourselves, sharing them out loud when we think them so that people around us can be affected by that mood and
Mm-hmm.
mindset shift as well. So yeah, I think that's my other major takeaway is just like, I will not be dismissed. That's
Right.
great. Yes.
Right. And that's like a huge leap, right? Like from at the beginning, like, I don't want to say something wrong,
Yeah.
right? To being like, no, I know my body. I'm not going to be dismissed. Right. Like I just felt like that was such a power shift. And I really appreciated like it is a mindset, right? It's a mindset to choose to not be dismissed. It's a mindset to choose to advocate. It's a mindset to see the good, even when you're having a hard time. And I love how she was like, yeah, I mean, I'm still human, right? This is a practice. This is my words, not hers. But that's basically what she said. And I just love that, because the thing is like, with a lot of practice, we can shift our mindset, right? From being afraid to leave the house to leaving the house as a part of self-care, right? But it really is an active practice to get ourselves to that space where we can have these power statements and we're like really working on embodying them. So I love that you brought that up. That probably would have been my final takeaway, but I don't want to say the same things as you. Um, yeah. So I guess like for my final takeaway, it really is, so I got a taste of like what it's like to have like an autoimmune disease. Like we were on the fence with my blood work. Like, is this Hashimoto's or not? Where my body was attacking itself. Right. And luckily right now I'm okay. Right. But in those 2 weeks, it was really, really, really awful. And it gave me, right. I shouldn't have to have that experience to give me empathy for other people. Right. But it gave me a deeper insight on what it's like to function in our society. And so with her just really sharing about her journey to getting the diagnosis, right? And like how much she had to like advocate for herself because she knew something was wrong. It's not like instantly like, hey, something's wrong and like, let's run some blood test, right? Like, let's check it out. It's like, no, it's a rash. No, it's
a sunburn.
It's a sunburn. Right. Exactly. But so the journey that it took for her, and then just the way that she lives her life, like we were just talking about with this mindset, right? Because to be chronically ill is exhausting enough. And then to do it in this society, it's like, I don't even know what, do I revere people? I don't know if that's the word I want, but that's the word that popped in my head. But just so much like admiration, for people who walk in our society silently suffering, right? And the power that they have, the inner strength to still show up in this society. I don't know if I'm using all the right words I want to use, but that's really like what my takeaway is I'm just blown away by Cara, by her community. And also the power of the community that she's found, where they've helped each other out. They've, like, I don't know.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
It's
My
good.
brain isn't getting the exact words, but it's just like, again, just like people don't talk about mental health enough. It's like people don't talk about invisible illnesses enough and what we're all walking through every single day and what it takes for us to, be in this society and stuff and different than other people that aren't walking around with chronic illness or aren't walking around with mental health challenges.
Totally. And I'm glad that you brought back up community, because that was such another big part of the conversation, right? It was just like, hey, we need support, all of us. And I'm so glad that she has her own warrior community, separate. She's obviously a part of ours, but she's got her own, right? And I'm so happy for not just for her, but for everyone that's part of her community over there, because I just can imagine how valuable it must be for all of them, right? To just know they're not alone, to have a support system, people that know exactly what they're dealing with, going through, walking with, seen and unseen.
Yes.
So good. Thank you so much, Cara. We love you. Thanks for being part of our warrior fam. Listeners, if you'd like to join our Instagram community, please do. We are at Anxiety Warriors Podcast, or you can shoot us an email at anxietywarriorspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your wins of the week, big or small. Shout out any topic ideas, things you'd love for us to chat about here on the show. Or if you think you'd be a great fit as a guest on our show, drop us a line. Let us know. And so we can connect and get your story told here on the platform. Please take a couple of seconds and smash that 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening. Please make sure to follow the show on all listening platforms. You can like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of our episodes are uploaded for you over there. And we've got some, as always, amazing merch in our Threadless shop. Jump into our show notes and check out something fun for you or the warrior in your life. to show off your warrior status.
Yeah. Embody that warrior.
Hell yeah. Don't dismiss yourself and grab yourself something good.
Thank you all so much for going on this journey with us. We are so grateful we get to do this with you all.
Till next time.